Welcome to the Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, Captain Logan, and we've got a little bit of Sea of Thieves news to cover today this week. So tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week, we're going to be talking about Wish You Were Here event, or as I am calling it, the Wish You Were Clear rare event. This is something we're going to be talking about this week. There's also some news that came in this week that just a general community vibe lately, it feels like. So I want to talk about that just in general. I don't want to get into too many details because honestly, it feels like there's a definite swing in the community, and I want to know what you all think, how you all feel about this as well too, because I think like maybe there's something to it. Maybe there's something we need to talk about with Sea of Thieves. So all that and more in this week's episode of Keelhauled Podcast. But before we get into any of this, I have to thank the patrons. They are the ones that are supporting this content and more. They're the ones that are helping me get a new PC so that I can actually start doing more with streaming, so that I can actually play Sea of Thieves and not have it look like cursed. I just used part of this month's Patreon funds to get a really good deal on an AIC, which is an all-in-one cooler I found out. I've been doing digging on this stuff, but I got a really good deal on it, and then I got an even better deal when I realized that there was a sale that went on. So thank you to the patrons who are helping support that. It is a good step forward as we continue on this journey of me getting an updated PC from 2017 to 2023. Well, probably be 2024 by the time it actually happens, but I want to thank the patrons for doing that because it means a lot. It's really helping me out little by little. So thank you to People's Republic, L Cute, Balls, Bam Bam Bagel, Captain Chonky, Captain Hayes, Chateau Noof, Super Pack, Zombie Killer, Cloud, Cosmic Johnson, Static Mirror, DA Gaming, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Fergatron, Godhammer 6, Trickster, Jorby Jorbs, Carl Embo, Kazia the Aficionado, Nightstar, Lumpy SRQ, Evil Morpheus, Space Admiral Ors, Xbox Mike 29, Murphy Lives, Mutinous Max, Norwegian, Raja the Brave, Regis Stella the Brony Pirate, Replicated Flame, Rustbell Kid, Skamelt 666, Captain Dasm, Tommy D, TN Professor, Real Big Tuna, Big Bad Pad, Mina Fairy, Captain J Rat of the Flaming Cold Sore, the Lore Chronologist Deadeye Dre, Hager Owl, Jeff H, Ghost Boy 20, Evil Martha, Peter Miller, Rooski Doo, Thor Von Blitz, Windsor Chris, Luke Lore the Insipid Ghost, and Zam Wow. Thank you all so much for your support. It really means the world. Head over to patreon.com/Keelhauled podcast if you want to support this content and help me. It really does mean the world to me. Also, nope, I just completely blanked on what I was saying. There was something I was going to tell you guys. Gold Hoarder episode. Don't forget, Gold Hoarder episode. That is happening November 23rd. That is at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. British summertime, or is it just UTC now? I can't remember if it's swapped over. I think it swaps over in October. But British, so we're going to go with British summertime on this still. So 9 p.m. 9 p.m. And then Regis, I still have no clue, buddy. I love you, but I have no clue what time it is in your time zone. I think it's like 5 a.m., 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. You crazy son of a gun, you for getting up that early to jump on the podcast. But other than that, pirates, definitely jump into the Discord and share your thoughts, feelings on all the stuff that I talk about this week. Or I guess we're getting into it now. It's not bye. So dumb sometimes. All right, pirates. So this week we're going to be talking about the rough guide to Sea of Thieves that came out, as well as the Wish You Were Here event. This has been something that's been going on from September 14th. It'll be going on until September 21st, or roughly about 20th for most folks in the U.S. It's 10 a.m. UTC for the 21st, so that's about 2 a.m. for on the 21st for like me. Probably a little bit later on, 5 a.m. I think for East Coast. And it's pretty straightforward. I will say there are some rewards that we're actually going to be getting that are going to be in a future season. They're 4 time limited cosmetics. Right off the bat, you can get the refined gold speaking trumpet, the refined gold spyglass, the refined gold cutlass, and if you complete everything, you get the cartographer's tattoo. Now, we don't know necessarily what season, if this is going to be season 10 or season 11. We don't know if there's more to this set. It honestly feels like the gold sailor stuff that you could get if you sign up for different social media accounts, things like that. But this is content that is available now. This is stuff that you can earn. If you don't earn it now, you should be able to earn it in the future, in whenever the season it is that it comes into. And basically, the lowdown on this event, which at the moment there isn't a whole lot of time left to do this. It is possible to do in one sitting if you do like a pretty long session, but you are going to have to do a lot of sailing around, unfortunately. And that's just kind of the nature of this. They want you to go and do a whole bunch of different stuff. There's two different kind of cards that you have to work on, two different challenge cards that you're going to be working through. And each of the challenges that you complete in these cards is going to be easy or hard. And it's going to be working your way towards unlocking the different cosmetics. So, for example, the speaking trumpet, which is the first reward, you get that when you complete 3 challenges. The refined gold spyglass, that is going to be when you complete 6 challenges. So if you do just the novice challenge card, where you have 6 different things within that, then you'll be able to get at least the speaking trumpet and the spyglass. Chances are you're going to be able to get some of the stuff done in the experienced navigator card, which is the harder to do one. In which case, if you complete 9 of those 9 total challenges from either card, you'll be able to get the refined gold cutlass. The tougher one to get, obviously, you will have to complete all of the challenges in both of the challenge cards, and that will be all 12 items. You will then get the cartographer's tattoo set. Some caveats to that: if you do not have an opportunity to complete a Fort of the Damned or opening up the vault on a Fort of Fortune. Now, as I've seen other people say, this is something that you can do just by tucking. Like the registering of opening it works. So if you're able to tuck on an island or a fort that has an active Fort of Fortune or the Fort of the Damned, you should still be able to get credit for that. However, I will recommend that the Fort of the Damned to be the way to go, just because that is an on-demand thing, and being that this is time limited with very little time left to actually go into it, chances are that's your best bet. I did want to talk about what are the different challenges in each of the different cards, because believe it or not, these are not very clear. Most of them are explained fairly straightforward, but there's not an indicator on what is considered crew based, what is considered individual based. This is something that they have done in the past. I am pretty disappointed that this is not something that they've done with this. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't know how much effort went into making this or how hard it was, because a lot of the assets that I've seen in this are assets that are reused from other stuff. This is like an event that we've seen in the past with doing things. I think the requirements are maybe a little bit different, but the tracking, the iconography, and the UI, all of that stuff is very, very much stuff that I've seen in the past. One of the really big kind of criticisms I have right now, aside from like what I'll get into as far as like my main grief with this issue, is that when you go to show rewards on the individual, like if you show rewards on the actual 2 challenge cards that are at the beginning, the front end of the actual UI, it'll actually pop up a nice little menu that'll show you like each of the 4 different items, how many you've accomplished, what you have left, the progress to be made on those, and then like interesting little blurbs about them. Like, for example, the refined gold cutlass. The shiny gold hilt might make this cutlass look like a fashion statement, but the blade is no less sharp. Things like that. But if you go into the actual title card, they do have a show rewards button on there. And if you show rewards, it's a black screen that covers the image of what the actual challenge is, and it just says rewards, renown, and it has a picture of a book, and then it says serene fishing for serene fishing. And it really feels undone. It really feels just like they didn't think that would be important enough to do some sort of custom artwork for. It's just, oh, that's it. That's all you're getting. They also don't address the fact that each time you complete one of these challenges, you get 1,000 gold. Because as far as I can see, I still have one of them that I need to complete, which really kind of bothers me because I've done the credentials for it. But the game is not registering that I've done those credentials, even delayed credentials. So like it's just not clear enough like what you're going to get. Like it says renown, but cool. How much renown? Like a lot of renown, a little bit of renown, some renown, a smidgen of renown. Am I going to become renowned? Why doesn't it say that you're getting the 1,000 gold per event completion, per challenge completion? So little things like this, it feels real kind of kit bashed together. You know, they're taking 4 time limited cosmetics that are going to be available in the future, which I will say right now, offering cosmetics for future content drops ahead of time that I can earn for free compared to earn with doubloons or gold. That is the proper way to do that. We don't know if these are going to be made available for purchase. If they're made available for purchase and I was able to earn them prior to them being live, through engaging with content in the world, I'm okay with that. Even if it's just a gold transaction or a doubloon transaction, it's especially cool if it's a ancient coin transaction. But if this is just something that is going to be made available through the season pass, or through the plunder, like the plunder pass, I can accept as well too. But that kind of shortchanges the desire to work through the season or the plunder pass, because I've already earned 4 items out of the plunder pass that I now am not going to get. Let's see. So, and I'm actually going to take a quick look. I don't think these are, because genuinely they usually keep the content that is in the plunder pass version. Usually that stuff are like one-offs that are costumes or cosmetics for your ship, and then ancient coins. Like it's very rare that the plunder pass itself will actually be equipment, things like that. So I imagine that these may be things that actually come to the plunder pass. If that's the case, I'm going to be really bummed, because honestly, there's a lot of good cosmetics that come into the season pass, and you'd like to unlock those at the time that you're working on those. So I do hope that these were items that were planned for the shops that are just going to be ways to eliminate the gold sink that they normally would have been had they had been at the time of launch, I guess would be a good way to address that. So I do like that aspect of this event. I do like this event for having you go around to do stuff in the world. Because it is a reason to get back into Sea of Thieves. It did bring me back into Sea of Thieves after playing Starfield for multiple, many hours at this point. But it is one of these things where as soon as I got into the different challenge cards and looking at most of them, they're all pretty straightforward as far as like what you're going to have to do. But it's the stuff that they don't tell you that is what tends to really kind of sour the experience for me. So if you're working on this, and again, you've got about 3 days as the time of the recording goes live, you've got the novice explorer and the experienced navigator. The novice explorer has 6 different challenges: island hopping tour, visit islands in 3 different regions of Sea of Thieves. Very straightforward, individual based. Doesn't say it's individual. You've got the underwater exploration. Visit 3 siren shrines. I'm going to slow down. Siren treasuries or shipwrecks. This is one that is, as far as I know, is individual. However, shipwrecks and Siren Shrines are not registering for everyone. They are individual based, and unfortunately, shipwrecks seem to be the ones that aren't registering the most. And I've been told by good community members that it does tie to being able to set foot on something that is solid. So like with a shrine, going to a shrine that has dry land somewhere in there that you can get up into it. Most of them do. Some of them are a lot harder to find because some of them are water-based ones, like the hungering one, or the ones with all the sharks. There's another one where you have to go around and flip all the levers. It's a little bit harder, and unfortunately, it's just not clear enough. Like, what does it mean to the game to visit 3 Siren Shrines, treasuries, or shipwrecks? And in this case, it means you have to set foot on ground at some point. You can't be swimming in them, because I've gone to a few where I swam through them, and that's exceptionally hard to do with shipwrecks. Like, how does that, how does it register you being in a shipwreck when there's nothing to stand on? So there's just a lack of clarity with this one in particular that really kind of like frustrated me, because you can shoot off to go to a shipwreck while your ship is sailing, and you get there, you loot a couple things, you check some barrels, and then you get back, you check your progress, and nothing's changed. And now, granted, you only have to do 3, but it's the fact that you didn't get progress, and it didn't give you an understanding of why you didn't get progress. That is frustrating from a player standpoint. One of the other ones is historic sightseeing. I'm messing my words up. I'm drinking an Athena Colada right now, and I can feel my heart rate going higher. So I apologize if I'm stumbling over phrases or words or stuff today. See, I'm about to do it again. Historic sightseeing. Clear out a sea fort, a siren treasury, or a gold hoarder treasure vault. I have found the sea fort, in my opinion, to be the quickest, because that's about 20 minutes solo. The siren treasury, however, is going to do you better, because it will also mix with the underwater exploration that you need to do, and I believe it actually counts as Castle Tour in the Experienced Navigator Challenge card. So the more difficult one, you have to clear out skeleton forts or siren treasuries in 2 different regions of Sea of Thieves. So if you do the treasury, that will actually be a better route to go than if you were to do a sea fort or a gold hoarder treasure vault. It just depends on what you're working on, which, by the way, again, just as a reminder, there's the ledgers are reset now, so there are new cosmetics tinkered and stuff. It's hard to say like exactly, if you're working on that right now. I don't blame you. There's a lot of stuff to not be doing in Sea of Thieves at the moment. So if you're avoiding ledgers, you might be avoiding commendations and stuff and waiting for a content drop. So don't blame me on that. But anyway, getting back to the rest of the novice explorer challenge card. One of the other ones is serene fishing. Catch 3 fish. Pretty straightforward on that one, actually. That's one that it's like, okay, I understand what I have to do. One of the things they don't talk about, this is also an individual based challenge. You have to do this regardless of the crew size. You can't just have 4 people or 3 people on a brig all catch 1 fish and have that count. Each person has to catch their own individual fish. As far as I know, clearing out a sea fort, a siren treasury, or a gold hoarder treasure vault, that is one of the few that I've seen that actually is a crew-based activity. So if someone is not around or working on something else, if they are, as long as you guys are within the same crew, everyone should get credit for this. But as far as like catching 3 fish or visiting siren shrines or the underwater exploration or the island hopping tour, those 3 are individual based, as well as the next one, which is Master Chef. Cook food on an island at night on your ship and using all 4 pans at a sea fort stove. Notice the "and" there, because this is not a either or situation. You will have to do one of each. So you need to cook food. Doesn't matter what type of food it is. I've tried, and fruit did not count for me. You can't burn fruit. It has to cook. It has to be meat of some nature. So you need to cook food on an island, meat on an island at night. You also have to do it on your ship. And then you also have to go and do it on a sea fort. Now, I don't know that I got to test this properly. I don't know if I got a chance to really like be for sure about this. Because usually if you cook a piece of meat, you can cook it and you can take it and move it to a different pan, and that will count as well. I don't know if you can use the same piece of meat if it's not cooked 100% on your ship and then go to an island and then use one of the island at night ones, which, by the way, every outpost should have one campfire that you can cook on. I can't think of one that doesn't. So you should be able to do that at a tavern. You just have to find a piece of meat or fish up a fish, which you can do at an island as well too, or at a outpost as well too. So if you log in, you sit down in the tavern after waking up, you go out, catch a fish, you cook it on the outpost at night, catch another fish, cook that on your ship. You've already done a lot to get through just the novice explorer stuff, because the last one that you have in the novice explorer challenge card is actually going to be tavern crawl, where you have to take a seat in 3 different taverns, which not hard. In fact, you can log into the game at a tavern, sit down after you've woken up. It doesn't count when you wake up from the tavern. Go out, catch a fish, cook it on the island, leave, jump into another server, sit into a tavern that's hopefully a different tavern, go out, catch another fish, cook it on your ship, and then leave, jump back into a new server, sit down in a new tavern, hopefully it's a new tavern, catch another fish, and then head to a sea fort nearby, grab some meat from the barrels that are hanging down. Hopefully it's not one of the ones in the wilds, and it's one of the ones in the Shores of Plenty or the Ancient Isles, and you've got, uncooked meat sitting in those barrels. Clear it out, because you'll need to do that at least once, and then throw meat onto all 4 pans. That is going to be the quickest way to start working on the novice explorer stuff, because you'll clear out a fort, you'll catch 3 fish, you'll sit in 3 different taverns, you'll cook meat. That'll get you at least one item. That'll get you the trumpet. Then you have to visit 3 siren shrines or treasuries. I recommend a combination of the shrines and the treasuries, ones that have ground that you can stand on, and then visit visit islands in 3 different regions. Hopefully when you spawn in, you get 3 of the different seas and you're not just all in the Ancient Isles at one point. That will do a lot to clear out just the novice explorer, just that loop of 3 times logging out, logging in, catching a fish and cooking it. So hopefully that helps out if you're running short on time and you want to get a couple of these before the end of the event. Let me take a quick sip of this heart pounding drink and we'll be back with the experienced navigator. All right. Thirst has been quenched. Let's talk about the experienced navigator. Now, the experienced navigator, this is one that is going to require some attention. You're going to have to pay attention to this. And this is where I feel like Rare really could have taken the opportunity to address some concerns that I have with, progressing through the game, working on commendations and stuff. When we got captaincy, we got the ability to pin or highlight certain milestones that we wanted to keep track of. And we could do so either within our captain's log or through our, I forgot what the name of that book is called. Our ship's log. No, our ship's log is the one that we actually see in our menu. The captain's log or captain's book, I think is what it's called. Doesn't matter. You know what I'm talking about. That is where you kind of see the ones that you pin. The thing that I have an issue with in this case is that with the ability to pin certain ones to your book, this was not carried over in any other system. And I think that the events are a great way to actually try and build that out. And what I mean by that is with the experienced navigator, to try and kind of kick us off with one of the challenges that's actually in here. It's called World Tour. And the requirements for this are to visit 5 islands or sea forts in each region of Sea of Thieves, meaning that you have to visit 4 different regions, all 4. In this case, it's talking about the wilds, the shores of plenty, and the ancient isles, as well as the Devil's Roar. And you have to visit 5 islands or sea forts counting as an island, in each of the regions. Now, at its surface, that makes sense. Like, visit 5 islands or sea forts in each region of Sea of Thieves. But to the layman who doesn't quite understand that, you will then have to go and read through the rough guide of Sea of Thieves, which I think is cool. I like that they're doing this, but it's an outside thing that you have to get to be able to actually like understand maybe some of the reading between the lines on these actual events. If you're new to Sea of Thieves, there's no way for you to understand what they mean when they're talking about sea forts. Are they talking about the sea forts where the skeleton clouds appear? Are they talking about the sea forts that are the little establishments? Like, what does a sea fort count as? And sure, I guess you could say that the sea forts, when inactive, count as islands, so it doesn't really matter. But there's so many little things that I think there's a little more clarity would have been nice. And to get back to the idea of the ship's log and the milestones and pinning those into your captain's book, those things I think should have translated into this event, because if you are working on this event and you do multiple sessions, there is nothing in this event or in the game that will tell you which islands you have been to in what seas. So if you do a natural session where you're just kind of working on this and you notice that you have 15 or better yet, I think this would be a better explanation, 12 islands marked as visited in Sea of Thieves on the actual thing. It'll tell you 12 of 20, which is fine. It lets you know that, hey, it's tracking which islands you've been to. There's no way to know what sea needs more islands. So you can sail around the entire game hopping on one island for each one, which, you know, roughly a couple hours worth of sailing, to be honest, and try and figure out, like, okay, am I 4 out of 5 in the shores of plenty, or am I 3 out of 5? Does it go up? I need to go to 2 different islands in each sea to test. Okay, am I 5 out of 5 or am I 4 out of 5? And the 5th one is a waste of time at that point. There's no way to tell how many or what islands you've visited. So this is a perfect opportunity for Rare to say, like, hey, you have visited these islands in the progress to completing World Tour. And it will list the island or the sea fort in that actual event. And it says, okay, here's where you've been. Shores of Plenty, Crook's Hollow, Lonely Isle, Wanderer's Refuge, Ancient Isles, Plunder Valley, Sharkbait Cove, Chicken Isle, Snake Isle, Thieves Haven, Devil's Roar, Ruby's Fall, The Wilds, Galleon's Grave, Mercy's End Fortress, Crook's, oh God, what's the stupid island I hate? Crooked Masts and Shipwreck Bay. And that way you can actually see, okay, I am X out of 20 complete. I know that I've gotten all of my ancient isles done. I just need 1 or 2 for each of the other seas. And it shows me which islands I've actually been to. So I can sit there and say, like, okay, cool. I know I don't have to go to Crooked Masts. I got that out of the way. I don't have to worry about it. And I remember, and now it shows me that I've completed Mercy's End Fortress for the castle tour, so that I don't have to go and try and do that one for the next one. Like it just gives you more information on what you've actually done. So that way you aren't having to try and take screenshots of your captain's logbook so that you can say, like, okay, well, I know that these were the islands that I went to in my captain, because no one thinks to go into that book and like try and take screenshots to like build out a post-it note or an Excel spreadsheet to try and say, like, okay, well, this is what, you know, these these are the ones that I've been able to get. This is what I've done. I know I don't have to go and do this one now. You know, and not everyone is going to have a captainship as well, too. You might be thinking, oh, well, I go and check my captainship. Cool. What about the people that don't have a captainship? How do they keep track of that stuff? It's just going to have to be like notes next to their controller or their PC. And it's all stuff that could just be in the game. It's all stuff that could just be in the game. It could be very, very easy. And I'm not saying like easy as in like, oh, I don't understand the dev time. I don't care about the dev time. That's not how I figure out how stuff works. But this is the kind of stuff that is a pain point from a player perspective that we know we have tools in the game already that do stuff like this. We have deeds. We have trials that keep track of this stuff in the game. So I don't know why this is something that is just not paid attention to when it comes to an event to help ensure that there's an easy flow for folks to know, like, yes, I have to visit 20 islands across the entire Sea of Thieves, and I have to make sure that it's 5 per region. Just give me a list of the ones that I've already done. And that way, if I don't know, I don't remember, or I've been doing this each day, just a little at a time, I'm not sitting there having to keep track myself on a sheet of paper, you know, like it's 1980s and I'm trying to map out Metroid. Just let it be in the game. Let it live there. It's already being tracked for milestones. It's already being tracked for trials. It's already being tracked for deeds. We have all of these things keeping track of this stuff for renown, for ledgers. Like, why is that information not surfaced? Why is that information not surfaced on the website? Maybe if you just had it on the website, I'd be content, because at least it would be there and I'd see it. So this has kind of been the main hang up that I've had with the design of the event. I'm okay with like having cosmetics brought forward. I'm okay with having like these kind of everything that you do around the normal game kind of thing as far as like the challenges go, because I appreciate having a reason to go do that stuff and getting rewarded for it. So moving into the other 5 of the Experienced Navigator, I want to get through these because I want to talk about the issues with these that I've been running into personally. And I know it's not just me, it's been everyone. So I do want to get these out there though. So the World Tour, visiting 5 islands or sea forts in each of the regions of Sea of Thieves. So 4 regions, 5 each, 20 total. Write it down. Do yourself a favor. It's individual. Castle Tour. Clear out skeleton forts or siren treasuries in 2 different regions of Sea of Thieves. That one is very straightforward. I appreciate that. The skeleton forts is kind of like, you know, you're going to have to wait on that one for a world event. Much easier to go to a siren treasury. The forethought that went into saying like, okay, some of this stuff needs to be on demand. Some of the stuff can be world event. I appreciate that. That helps a ton. The next one, and you only have to do 2. The fact that you only have to do 2, and it does specify that it needs to be in different regions, I appreciate. As far as I'm aware, this is crew based, one of the few. Treasures from ancient battlefields. This is probably the hardest to complete for most folks that are logging in on short time frames, because one is on demand, but it is a Fort of the Damned, so you will have to get a skull, like a ritual skull, or one of the Sea of the Damned skulls that has all the flames. So hopefully you have one of those voyages. If not, you'll have to buy one. But that is one that, while on demand, will require prep. Whereas the other one is a Fort of Fortune, which is on a timer, or not a timer, but it's not on demand. It is kind of locked behind whatever the cycle is for the world events. Unfortunately, I think today when I was working on some stuff, I was out in the Roar. I was doing the 2 voyages, which it's one of the other challenges. I was working on stuff out there. And as I was completing one of the skeleton maps that I had, I was going to go and actually head over to the Fort of Fortune that had been up for a little bit, because I thought, you know, it had been some time. They're probably close to doing it. I can shoot over and just, you know, be on the island when they actually try to open it. Hopefully, you know, get credit that way, because I don't know. I haven't done that yet, so we'll have to see how that goes. Maybe I don't get the tattoo ahead of time. I still have a couple days though, so not too worried about it. Kind of worried about it. But as I was getting back to my boat, that is when I got hit with a server merge, which I have not had a server merge in a very long time. So I was really surprised that right as I was about to go to a Fort of Fortune, not only had no one gone over to do it, but I got server merged onto a new server and it was not up. So it wasn't people coming into my server, and I was really kind of sad about that because I thought, there's a decent chance that I'll be able to go do that. I haven't seen a Fort of Fortune since, but I haven't been playing a whole lot, and I kind of want to get on that too, a little bit later in the episode too. The next one is Accomplished Angler. This one is to catch a trophy plentyfin, a trophy wild splash, a trophy ancient scale, and a trophy devilfish. I want to emphasize the "and" here because I made the mistake that I thought you could catch one type 4 times, and it's not that you have to get one 4 times, it's that you have to get one of each, which again kind of goes back to that clarity thing. I think they really should have added the catch one of each of the following fish, trophy plentyfin, or catch one trophy of each type of fish. Like, the verbiage I think could be worded to be more specific, I think would be the thing. And I think that is one of the problems that I've noticed with this, because I went in here thinking, oh, I can catch, I think I caught like 3 trophy ancient scales, only got credit for 1, and was wondering why the heck I wasn't done with this. And that's on me because I didn't read it clear enough. But I also think that there could be more than the, 8 words that they added to this to explain, like, what you have to do. All the other ones seem to have more than that, other than catch 3 fish. So you will have to go to each of the different regions, specifically the Shores of Plenty, the Ancient Isles, the wilds, as well as the Devil's Roar, and catch one type of that specific region's fish for those. And actually, while I'm here, I wonder if I can take a quick look here and see if I can find out what each one is, because I always forget. You never think about it. It's much easier just to buy a bait crate now and get that. Also, if you show up on an outpost, you can probably find a few of each different type of bait. But plentyfins, those are earthworms, leeches for ancient scales, grubs for devilfish, and earthworms for wild splash. So the wilds and the Shores of Plenty, grab some earthworms, and then Ancient Isles and devilfish, you're going to have to do grubs for the devilfish and leeches for the ancient scale. Not too bad, honestly. Could be a lot worse. They could force you to get like battle gills or something like that, or stormfish. Splash tails don't count. It has to be one from each of the different regions. So not the worst, but just kind of pay attention to the fact that it's an and, not an or. And then the last one, before I get into the final one, the 5th one, it's Singed Supplies. This is to complete 2 voyages in the Devil's Roar for the Gold Hoarders, Order of Souls, or Athena's Fortune. You can do any of those 3. They do have to be Devil's Roar voyages. They can't be messages in a bottle. They cannot be partial Athena's Fortune voyages. Like, you can't throw down an Athena's Fortune in the Roar and do the Gold Hoarder missions, do the Order of Souls missions, and be done. Like, you have to complete all of the Athena's Fortune for that. So just heads up on that one. This is one where I would recommend going out to Morrow's Peak, buying a bunch of the Order of Souls ones, throw those down, make sure you get a chapter 1 only, and then go over and defeat the skeletons. Use the geysers. It's the easiest way to complete voyages out there. It's much easier than getting maps or riddles and trying to find the digs or find the little markers. Just go do Order of Souls. Just use the geysers. Make sure that they're just one chapter only. The last one, which is probably the one that has been frustrating people the most, is going to be the Naval Battle Experience. This is one that I haven't seen anything from Rare about this. I haven't seen them address this at all. I don't know what they could do, given this has only been a week. But you have to battle 3 ghost fleets, skeleton fleets, kraken, or Megalodons. You only have to do 3. It can be any of that combination. Doesn't have to be, one of each. It can be it can be 3 ghost fleets. It can be 3 Krakens. It can be 3 Megalodons. The problem is that Megalodons are not counting. And when I say not counting, I mean that they are counting, but I murdered a crested queen, a hungering one, and a shadow maw in a 2.5 hour session tonight, and one of those counted, and I think it was the first one. So I don't know what's up with this. And by ghost fleets, they literally mean the world event. You cannot do a ghost fleet voyage. And by skeleton fleets, they mean an actual skeleton fleet. They're not talking about the emergent ships. The Kraken I never see anymore, so I don't know. I haven't been able to fight a Kraken in a while, so I don't know if that's how much that registers. But the Megalodons are the worst. They do not register. It's much easier to go do a skeleton fleet, in my opinion, especially if you're in a sloop, because of the number of ships that spawn, the type of ships that spawn, how fast you can do it. A lot of it's going to be dependent on the server and how feisty it is, though. A lot of folks are trying to push those Fort of Fortunes out, so they're going to be working on other stuff. And given that the skeleton fleet's right in the middle of the actual game, you're going to probably have more contested fights there. Ghost fleets are probably safer in this instance, but if you're looking for a little spice, skeleton fleets are probably going to be the best bet. Good luck with the Megalodons, because they just aren't. And I've killed a bunch in the last few days, and only 2 I think have actually counted. So overall, I wish you were Rare, about this. I wish that you were more, I wish things were clear if they were actually registering or not. I wish that you were more clear about what was tied into each of the different things. I still overall think that the idea and the theming for this was good. I think that they did a really fine job with the marketing material, with the videos that they put out for it. I think that the theme is really nice. It's cute, kind of like here's a grand tour of Sea of Thieves. We're going to do a tour guide pamphlet for it that you can sign up for. But the execution is what is lacking on this. And I feel like that's kind of a sentiment lately, like that it's a bit of a mood for, I think, Sea of Thieves players, because there's things that just don't work. There's some things like the UI element that I'm talking about when you view rewards on each of the different challenges, not necessarily the challenge cards, but the actual individual challenges, that just looks unfinished and looks like rushed. Maybe that was the intent. Maybe it was supposed to look that way. I just don't see it like it's supposed to be that way. But overall, it just, I know that they are, noses to the grindstone on working on season 10 and getting whatever season 9's content was that was delayed into season 10, along with the stuff that's, going to be ready for season 11. But it just doesn't feel like whoever's managing right now is there. It honestly feels like there's a position at Rare that's missing, and that position is the manager, like someone who the helmsman is gone. Jesus, take the wheel for the studio right now, because it doesn't feel, from my perspective, that there is a clear direction that they're heading. I know what they want to do. I know that they're heading towards season 10 and everyone is all hands on deck, and we're getting these events as kind of a stopgap for that. And with 5 weeks left to go in Sea of Thieves season 9, aside from Monkey Island, it does not feel like execution is there. And I'm bummed about that. I'm bummed about that because I know that this game has been in a better state. I know that we've had the game in a better state in the past. And for whatever reason, it doesn't feel like things are coagulated. It feels like they're runny, they're spilling off the edges. You're trying to keep it all on the flat surface with your hands, and it's just seeping through your fingers. It's literally going through. And the viscous thing that I'm talking about, this nebulous liquid, feels like player trust. and loyalty. Honestly, it feels like it's slowly like it's on hand with the quality that we're seeing with this. I've been seeing a lot of sentiment behind the community as far as like content creators moving on to different games, moving into, you know, variety channels, stuff like that, because it's just, there's not a whole lot of positive sentiment lately. We've had some really bad news as far as like AI imagery. We've had some bad news as far as like folks, you know, passing. I won't get into major details, but it's a bummer. And we've also had stuff like, you know, entitlement with expectations from other players in the game during like charity events and stuff. So there's a whole lot of stuff like in the community that just feels bleh, you know, and maybe you haven't been seeing that. And if you haven't, and you've just been enjoying Sea of Thieves, I 100% urge you to continue following that bright star in the sky, because if you're enjoying Sea of Thieves, you're having a great time. None of this stuff is affecting you. You haven't run into any of the hackers out there. Then kudos, enjoy it, continue having fun. I urge you to continue doing the thing that is bringing you joy, because it's tough when you start to see the cracks, because all you want to do is fill the cracks in, but you have nothing to do it with. For me personally, I will say that as a content creator, I have definitely noticed a downward trend. I think as far as like listener numbers, the podcast is in its worst state since 2019 when it was in its growth. Just in compared to like all time, my numbers have gone up until 2022. 2022 overall was the highest that the game, you know, that the podcast has ever been. It was steady growth, and ever since the end of 2022, with 2023, I have lost probably almost half of the downloads for the year so far compared to last year. And it's just, I personally, from a content creator perspective, it doesn't really matter, because I understand like it's numbers. But if that is an indicator of the state of the game, or if that's not an indicator of the state of the game, then I will go and you know, say that like the numbers overall on like Steam and stuff echo what I'm seeing just from my numbers. And this is like the first time I think in a long time that I actually went and checked. And it's mostly because so many other people have been saying the downward trend of Sea of Thieves that I really hope for season 10 to hit with a bang, because I think it's imperative that this game's production, the live service aspect of this game, gets back on track in a meaningful way. Because if it doesn't, and the content isn't there, and the content doesn't drive engagement, it's not going to help that the game is not so it's not in a state where it feels like the code is in the best state ever. And I say that fully understanding like this is just something that we've had for a long time. We've had a lot of bugs in the game. We've had a lot of, you know, weird quirks with Sea of Thieves. It's not a perfect game by any means. No game is. But this is definitely a point where I can say like, you know, I've seen some stuff that is like a little like, I hope that gets fixed soon, because it didn't used to be that way. And it's a bummer. It's an absolute bummer, because I think I still have a lot of fun with this game. I still enjoy jumping into it when there's something to jump into. But at the same time, I also see myself spending less time this year in Sea of Thieves than I ever have since its launch. I really have not spent nearly as much time as I have in the past. And a lot of that's just because there's not really anything driving that engagement. You know, I've been playing the game for, you know, since beta. I've seen it, been there, done that. There's no new islands. The voyages that we're getting are few and far between that are fresh. I think the Ancient Veil is the newest voyage that we've gotten, and that was last year's content, I think. Now that it's all kind of blurring together. So I just, there's got to be a sandbox update that comes in that reinvigorates my desire to jump in to spend time doing it. Because, you know, Hourglass was not it for me. I still loathe that content update. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of fun with it. It's still one of the biggest letdowns for me as far as what I enjoy out of the game. It's not emergent content. It's on-demand content, which is good, but I usually go for that emergent stuff more. I like the ambiguity of, so like tonight, for example, totally like, spent most of my night out in the roar working on voyages, working on, I murdered 3 megalodons out there, man. And did a couple voyages and stuff, and got murked by a stupid, a volcanic rock. Damn near sank my ship. But I had a really good time doing that. And when I got done, I headed back out to, the wilds, and over at one of the sea forts, there was a brig. I was like, I'm done. I don't care about the little bit of loot that I have from a megalodon. I'm just going to roll up on this ship, pull up sail, see if they want the supplies. If they want the supplies, cool. If they don't, then no big deal. I'll just scuttle, and they'll have the barrels there and the little bit of loot that I got. And if they want it, they can want it. If not, no big deal. But I rolled up with them and was just talking with them, and they were starting out on the event. And I was like, oh man, I would have, it was a nice little exchange that I had with them. I was like, hey, I'm out for the night. You guys want my supplies? And they're like, sure, if you're out for the night. And I'm like, yes, I'm done. I got what I got what I needed to do done, except for like one thing. And then I gave them like a lowdown on the event, like everything that I was going to talk about in today's show. I was going to be like, hey, this is individual, this is crew, these are not registering, focus on these. And I just sat there and started kind of spilling information for them while they went and ran around with crates and pulling all the supplies out of my barrels. And I was like, that is what I love about Sea of Thieves. That is the thing that I enjoy seeing in the game, is being able to have moments like that, or being able to have moments where you're in a fight with another crew, and at the end of it, you can say GG, and it's a good experience and no hard feelings. It's just the game, and you'll win next time, or you'll decide to do something different next time that gives you the satisfaction that you want, similar to actually turning in a whole bunch of loot, stuff like that. Hourglass doesn't do that for me. I don't get that satisfaction out of Hourglass. I know some people derive that. Totally fine. It's the best thing about Sea of Thieves. It's totally what you make of it. And the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. But when the game is fighting you on stuff, that is when it starts to falter. That is when the sheen wears off. You start to notice that really kind of worn edge. So all of that to say, just make sure that you're paying close attention to when stuff is registering or not registering while you're working on this event. Please, please, please do the thing that I didn't do, which was, take notes on what you've completed. If it's, taking your captain's log and, screenshotting it so that you can keep track of it if you're working on it over the next couple days, so you don't forget where you've been or what you've done. That is going to be extremely helpful. Surprisingly, I wish in retrospect I had thought to do that, compared to just sailing around each different sea and having to like test and see whether or not, like, okay, did I do this thing or did I not do this thing? Does this one count or does it not count? Is it not counting because it's not counting, or is it counting because I don't need it, kind of thing? So just want to make sure, folks, it's going to take a little bit of extra effort. Hopefully you're with a crew member who can help kind of keep track of this stuff with you, but just be very, very proactive about this event, because there's issues. Which is and at the end of the day, I just want to say, like, there's nothing forcing you to do this. Okay. There's nothing that is forcing you to do this. This is purely if you're looking to earn 4 of the time limited cosmetics for this event early, because according to Rare, they will be in future season. And I say future season because I don't know what season it's going to be, or, like when they're going to have it. So just wanted to like put that out there, really share my feelings on this event, because we, if we're judging each event, we're taking a look at the content, we're saying like what's good, what's bad, stuff that we like, stuff that we don't like. I hope that this feedback comes back to Rare so that hopefully, they see, hey, this event was cool. There were a lot of things that could have been added to it to improve the event, and there are a lot of things that just need to be tested and work properly. So I know that the QA team isn't the largest at the studio, but I don't know why some of the things that they may have been reported weren't addressed. They may not have been aware of it to begin with, but I think if you're going to put out an event, killing a megalodon and having that register should have been like one of the high points of like the, hey, make sure this works thing. Because it's one of the easiest things to come across with like this specific one. All right. I feel like I've harped on the event, and I hate doing content like this, man. It's not the kind of content I like to make. I like to have fun talking about the game. I like to talk about how much fun I'm having with stuff. It's moments where I actually get to run into people and talk to them about the game and, share stories or experiences, just get a good vibe from them. Like that's, I love that. And most folks are probably doing that, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot of people that play this game that do not touch social media. They do not talk to other crews outside of, Discord or in Discords and stuff like that. So most people probably don't even notice a lot of the pain points that some of the diehards in the group are. At which point it's like, that's fine. If they're chill with it, kudos to them. Please continue having fun, because I love that they are. I'm hoping that folks do, because if you're running into if you go in and you're working on this stuff and you're like, Logan, I don't know what you're talking about, buddy. None of these problems that you're talking about were experienced by my crew. That is a win for me. That is a solid win. It's a shame when folks have my experience when I have to talk about this kind of stuff in this nature, because it's not how I want the rest of the community to experience it. I'm hoping that the small pain points that I'm running into are addressed for the future, because there's nothing that's going to be able to be done about it now, unfortunately. Also, are you guys still noticing that sharks seem to be very prolific in the seas? I don't know about you, but I'm still running into a lot of sharks. Like I think I got off of Wanderer's Refuge yesterday. Friday. I think I got off on Wanderer's Refuge on Friday night, and your boy was like swimming with sharks in Shark Week again. And I was like, I thought they fixed this. I thought this was hot fixed. Why are there 2 sharks immediately after getting in the water? I am very nervous. Just a reminder, swim down. Sharks have to change their trajectory before they can bite you to be on the same like Z axis as your pirate is before they can bite you. They can't bite you from above or below. They have to be on the same level. So a lot of sharks swim up and down. A little pro tip there. Anyway, let me get another drink of Athena Colada here, and we'll jump into the next story. Alrighty. So as I was looking at my notes, I realized I actually kind of addressed some of the other stuff that was going on that I was planning on addressing in fuller. But now that I'm kind of thinking about it, I really don't want to drag this out any further. One thing I did forget to mention with this event is that Ashen Loot and Coral Treasure all have a 1.5 times multiplier applied to it. So if you're out there doing treasuries, which honestly aren't too bad, and doing Devil's Roar loot, take those and get those turned in, because you're going to get a higher emissary ledger on those. And the emissary ledgers themselves have reset. So the spyglass and the bucket, not trumpet, the bucket, those are available for the the top 2 tiers. So if you're in the top 25% of players turning in loot under emissaries, which is easier to do with the treasury loot as well as, or the coral loot, I should say, because you can get that stuff from shrines as well too, or the Devil's Roar loot, which if you're working on, I would say Gold Hoarders and Order of Souls, Athena is going to be a lot easier just to do through Veil, even though you're getting the 1.5 on it. If you're in the Devil's Roar, it's just a lot faster to do the Veils. But Gold Hoarder and Order of Souls, if you're out there doing those in the Devil's Roar, that's actually going to be pretty good. You'll be able to kind of bump up your ledger or your emissary flag pretty quickly with those. So I would just recommend, keep an eye on that. You've got about 12 days, so less than a couple weeks before the ledgers reset. And also, International Talk Like a Pirate Day is this week. So while this event is ending, we've also got International Talk Like a Pirate Day coming up pretty soon here. So kind of cool to if that's what you're going for. I know I have stuff that I'm going to be working on next weekend, and next weekend is going to be what is a Ren fair going on in my area. So I'm going to be doing hopefully piratey type stuff at the Ren fair. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on with that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We don't know when the next Monkey Island Tall Tale is going to be happening. But I would guess that given that it's September and the last one hit on the 31st, there's a good chance we will not hear about it this week. Chances are we will probably hear about it next week. So we'll have to see. Chances are that Monkey Island Tall Tale is coming in on the 28th of September. I'd be very impressed if they announced it was ready this week on the 21st. But we'll see. But yeah, anyway, taking a look at the amount of time that I've been talking about the Wish You Were Here event, I noticed that I have just about done due diligence on that one. So if you guys have noticed anything or anything weird about that, definitely feel free to let me know in the Discord. I'm trying to think if there was any feedback that I got from last week, which I think, let's see, Caleb wrote in, said Ocean's Deep stuff was not the Plunder Pass paid content. It was the season's themed content, such as titles, scars, tattoos, and makeup. So appreciate the clarification there. And I think that was it as far as that. I don't see anything in the Gold Hoarder channel. Yeah. So anyway, that's going to do it, I think, for this. Folks, I love you all. I hope you all are having a good rest of your week. Make sure that you're getting that event done as much as possible. Hopefully it's easy for you. Hopefully things are registering. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, feel free to let me know over on the Keelhauled Discord, which is a link is in the show notes for each of the episodes. Just head over to the show notes there. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always reach me on email at captlogun@gmail.com. That's captlogan@gmail.com. Otherwise, you can find me on X or /Twitter at capt_logun. I believe I am also on Threads for that as well, and other social medias that I just don't put too much time into. But there's plenty of ways to get a hold of me. Just search Capt Logan and you will probably find me or that one random NPC in State of Decay 2. And Pirates, with that, thank you. I love you, and I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves.